Hi guys, it's me, Carrie Silverlining, and I'm having some techie probs today. I'm getting a little frustrated. It's going to be my last shot at this. Cross our fingers. Okay, so I have some last minute things to throw out there before what I believe to be is going to be like a big deal. I'm going to have Michelle come on my show next time around, and I'm going to have a reading, like a flat out reading to help solve some of my mysteries. And I don't really have a plan for it. I'm just going to let the guides just go on. I've learned to since shut up and just let it go. But sometimes, when you do these live videos, there are pauses for either side of us. So to fill in those pauses, you start speaking, not realizing that they've already started speaking too. So sometimes when I interrupt people, that's why, is because there's such a lag. But let me go ahead and get started on today so I can get through it. Hopefully it will work. Oh, I'm going to get so mad. First, let me show you. Look, I did a thing and I cut my own hair the other day. I felt like it was just too straight and flat and held down. So I cut these things called curtain bangs, and I think I did okay. Let's fluff a little. I don't know why I fluff so much. I'm just a hair fluffer. It's cute, huh? So I'll probably fluff the whole time, but you know what I don't do anymore is that smacking shit. Remember? I didn't realize it until after I'd reviewed the videos, but I think that's because I was in ketosis and it just gives you a dry mouth. Okay, so let me get started right away. I have a list. And so what I'm going to start with is what I wanted to remind myself about, and that was the travel carrot. And just, it's not necessary, but I want to have it in. It's my story. And remember when it came to Fairy Boy and me seeing him go to Australia without me, even though I was told I was going to go with him. Remember, he was young. The clues I had. He was young. He lives far away, and you'll travel together. So I bought my visa. I had a new wardrobe. I was ready to go. But he went by himself without me. And that was enough of a heartbreak that I didn't need to see a girl with him. However, before he took that trip to Australia, he did spend some time traveling with the girl that I was chosen over, the first best and public girl. And not only did they do a little bit of traveling together, I don't know the details of that. He gave me a little bit, but like I said, the twins have been like close-lipped about things that happened with other girls, and I'm sure it's so that I wouldn't spill their biz on this show. But he was so close to me, and it wouldn't have been a big deal for me. I fly free. I could have hopped on a plane and seen him in a very short time, and he didn't want to do that. And what can I do? I can't force myself on him. And I realized that the same thing happened with Michael. I was in Belgium for a long time. Well, I spent part of that time in UK, but I went back to Belgium to fly home because I noticed that I get first class out of Belgium, but not out of UK. So it's worth it to me to buy the train ticket back to Belgium and fly home, because like 8 hours in coach is shit. 8 hours in first class is luxury. It's a completely different experience. So I will go the extra mile, or 200 miles, whatever it is, to get back to Belgium. Well, Michael wouldn't come see me. I was only 20 minutes away, and he wouldn't come back and see me. So I had that same experience with both of them, in that they were so close and they refused to come see me. And, again, just pointing that out, because my travel carrot the first time around, the traveling was with somebody else. Ooh, that was a stab. So that was it. I had to throw that in, but I have other things that I want to throw in too. Like, remember how I was talking about what I found like unattractive about Michael? It wasn't necessarily unattractive about him, but because he's so tall, I don't like that discrepancy is unattractive to me. And I used to have like I fantasize all the time, and I had to really like get creative in my fantasies, because I feel it's just what are the logistics of all this stuff? And that made me feel awkward too. I could never ever figure out where I'm supposed to be. But I found a loophole to that. And I'm a fan of deviance. So I'll just pretend like Michael is an alien. And that way that discrepancy becomes a kinky turn on. I don't think he would mind being compared to an alien one bit. Okay. And you know how I'm constantly going, and this this is part of my next, in a way. You know how I'm constantly talking about letting go and moving on, not wanting to be second best secret anymore, and et cetera, et cetera. And I don't want to be a home wrecker, and I'm not interested in Michael because I don't want to be second best to his family, and I don't want to be first best to his family. So that shit's done. And then I have my own reasons for Fairy Boy, et cetera. Well, to be honest, I've said this before, that I don't want to have relationships with these men. I feel like, and this is my filter again. I feel like for them that they want to experience the picket fence life that I've already done. And so I cannot provide this for them. So in my mind, I don't want to take it from them. So I don't know if I'm comfortable with having these short romances with them because I've been like groomed to believe that's how it's going to be, or because I'm selling myself short and that's all I feel like I deserve, or if it's just my path and I'm comfortable with that. I didn't know at first. Well, I don't think I'm selling myself short because, like I said, I don't want the same things they want. I want them to have those things. So I really believe that I like the idea of flying around the world and putting myself back together through love and romance. I've always liked that idea, but I had to give it up. But I didn't completely give it up because I think that's what's going to happen. And even if it's not going to happen, it's still okay for me to be in the place of believing it is, if I'm still to have those kinds of carrots to, help propel me forward. So when all is said and done, if I do have these, I'm not going to be a homewrecker, I'll tell you that. But if I'm talking about Michael now, if he has a circumstance in which he has been pulled apart from his girl and I pop into his life because that's part of our path, then I will be very comfortable with the short romance. I will not feel like second best because I don't want it to go any far. It doesn't feel right. I don't want what he wants, at least what I perceive that he wants. So I honestly don't have any problem. In fact, I'll send him back. Okay, go back home. I want you to go be happy with your family. Go get that sweet baby. I haven't even talked about that. I had a weird okay, I will in just a sec. But so even though I'm like way over here saying, I don't want that, I'm also way over here saying that's just fine with me, because even though I'll let all that shit go, and I really believe I have, I'm going to talk about that. I don't think there's any more left to learn. Well, I don't know. I don't think I have any more past traumas to work through with these twins. I believe that the tether I still have is just because that's what's part of it. Unless there's a cobweb, I'll talk about cobwebs soon. But anyway, I won't have any problems with, sending him back home. And, I won't have like a family to send Fairy Boy back to, but whatever his path in life is, I respect that and I want him to have it. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I'm still motivated to have these experiences despite not wanting to be a homewrecker, despite not wanting to be second best, blah, blah, blah. And the reason that I'm highly motivated is because, number one, I've been on this journey for a long time and I've loved these men so hard. And I have in my mind that these unions with your twin flame is going to be something special. And I want that. I want that magic, even though I'm fully prepared for my expectations to not. I think I have these experiences placed on a pedestal, like they're going to be super duper magic, and they might not be. They might be very simple, but that's okay. If they're to happen, I'm just going to accept them as they are. But I want them. I want them. I want those opportunities. I want that potential magic. But that's not my only motivation. The other one, the bigger one, is that I've been told more than once that the way to free myself from this tether of pining over for these men is to have them. And once that happens, then that love will transmute into that of friendship. That's my big motivation, because I don't want to be tethered. I don't want to be chasing. I don't want to be pining away for love that's never going to come to me. I don't want that anymore. So, okay. So I want to be free of that. And the only way to be free of it is to get what I want, even though I have to not want it anymore. Twin flame bullshit is stupid, but it works. Okay. So now let me talk about, and another thing, I just quickly remember a long time ago when I did the videos with Jason, I was asking, I guess I asked Eric, why is it so important for me to brag? I want to brag. And I didn't know if it was like I wanted to have eye candy on my arm or what, but he wouldn't tell me. I mean, it's not that he was reluctant. He gave me legit answers, but I needed to learn for myself because I hadn't known yet that I was dealing with being second best secret. So when I want to brag about this love interest, I'm not a secret anymore. So that explained that to me. And remember last time, the last video I did, I was saying how I didn't need to block Michael from me, even though I was worried that I'd go spy on him and break my heart by seeing a picture that I ought not see. Well, I find comfort in looking at him. Even though I was afraid to, I found a little loophole from myself. And what I do is I enter his name and click search. And then all of the Michael Brookses of the Facebook universe they'll all pop up. But if you scroll past all their names, you can see posts that my Michael has made. And they're all from a long time ago when I would interact, from like 2015 in the elephant group or whatever it was like not current stuff. So I'd scroll through that, even though I'd seen it 1,000 times. It just, made me feel good to have that little like visual connection with him. Well, one day the universe pulled a fast one on me and started showing all of the new and current posts that were being made. And since this is on my screen, everything is itty bitty and minuscule. So every time there'd be like a new one, I could screenshot it and blow it up, but the meme was so small that it would just be blurry, so I could never really see what was being posted, other than that he posted it in which group and whatever. So I'd scroll down very slowly to just protect myself, but I didn't do a very good job because I saw a picture in which he was tagged in, and it was a picture of him sleeping with his baby. The sweetest picture. It just it really affected me, and I stared at it for a long time, and I came across it in my insomnia bullshit. So when I was finally ready to fall back asleep after having been so affected by this picture, I dreamed about him and his baby. And this dream, I'm going to share it because I've said before, I don't have very many dreams. So when I do, they're like very real to me. And this was another one of those. And what this dream was that I was near Michael. I don't know why we were in the same place or where we were even at, but he let me hold his baby, and I know the baby's name, but I feel like it's not my place to say it, so I'm just going to keep referring. I don't know why I'm weird about it, but it's just going to be the baby. And so I was holding this sweet baby, and Michael said to me, "I'll be back in a minute. Take over. Here's the diaper bag if you need anything." And I'm like, "Sure, I got this," because I'm a professional. I love babies. I've worked with babies in nursery schools. I've nannied my whole life. Babies are my specialty. So I didn't know how long I was going to be gone, but it just felt like a 5 or 10 minute deal. And of course I can handle that. But and he wasn't coming back though. It kept waiting and waiting. And the people I was with, because I was with people, including Heather, which I didn't interact with her at all, but she happened to be there. We all had tickets to go to the festival, and I don't know what the festival was, but we had tickets and we wanted to go. So since Michael was taking so long, we all hopped into the van and proceeded to head towards the festival. And I was just holding this baby. I didn't have a car seat or anything, but that's, dreams are weird. And it wasn't like an act of child endangerment. Just for my dream story, you didn't need a car seat. You could just hold the baby. So we're driving down the highway off to this festival, and it had been taking a long time, and I realized that it was farther than I had previously anticipated. And I thought to myself, even if we turned around right now and went back, I wouldn't have enough. I mean, this baby would need a changing and a feeding before I got back to Michael. So I grabbed the diaper bag and I started rifling through it, and it was not stocked well. It was missing stuff. It had baby stuff, but it didn't have the things that I would need. So I started to panic, and I told the people in the van, I apologized to them, and I said, "Listen, I got to get this baby back. It's not my baby, and I don't have enough stuff." And they got pissed at me because we had already been gone so long. But what was I going to do? I had somebody else's baby and no supplies. So we did turn around, and well, Heather wasn't mad, but some of the other people were, but too bad. And I started, Google mapping where the pharmacies were so I could pick the baby up a pacifier. I wasn't concerned with diapers or formula, but I wanted to make sure this baby had a pacifier. And I was freaking out because Michael was going to freak out because here I am so far away with his baby. And what's worse is that the mama was going to flip the fuck out because not only she's going to get, mad at Michael for letting me have the baby, for letting the baby go at all. And secondly, for letting me of all people have the baby. Now, I don't know if she perceives me as any kind of threat or not, but in my world, she's my threat, so I might be her threat too. I mean, not really, but you know what I mean. She's a surrogate threat. So this dream, I don't know what this dream meant, and I never really got back to Michael in the dream, but the ending of it was that this is not my baby, and I don't belong with this baby. I have to give this baby back to his mommy and his daddy. He is a unit with them, not me. Now, I don't know if that's what any of this meant. Maybe it was just a way for me to meet him. Maybe I know this baby from another incarnation. I don't know, but I want to find out why I've been so affected by this sweet little creature. Okay, let me go back to my food stuff because I have new insight. And remember that episode of Seinfeld when Kramer's like test driving a car with the dealer, what do you call him? Dealership guy, salesman, I guess. And they're talking about like the miles per gallon, and they're like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just drive this car until the tank runs out of gas. Let's max it out. That's how I was with my weight loss because I have a goal of 30 pounds to lose. Then I hit 40 pounds. Then I kept going. My new goal was 50 pounds and I couldn't get there. I was 4 pounds shy, but I just had that epiphany, that realization is that I really didn't have a goal. I just kept going and going and going. I was never going to be satisfied. There was no putting on the brakes for me. There was no running out of gas. Anyway, I guess I did run out of gas. The universe did it for me and said, nope, you're done. Go back the other way. You got another lesson to learn. So the lesson that I'm learning is this eating stuff and finding self-acceptance at any size. I'm still dealing with that stuff. I have come to understand that body size does not necessarily equate with health, but I am still having a hard time equating it with beauty. So what I've decided, I love this about me, is that I figured out what my new version of beauty is going to be. And I've experienced this once before, or like for a period of time back in the 90s when I lived in Southern California in LA, down like at the beach area with all the young, beautiful Southern California people. And we would have parties and do lots and lots of cocaine. And so I don't know if this was like genuine or not. I think it is, because when you're all high on cocaine, everything's awesome. And there's one girl, she's a beautiful girl, her name was Marina. I loved Marina. She would tell me all the time about how sexy and beautiful I was based on just my confidence alone. And it's true. I was like still like an Oompa Loompa back then. I would dress like such a slob in overalls and sweatshirts, and I was really hiding myself then. I was a big girl then. But I know that I exuded a ton of confidence, and I know that that was sexy. I'm confused about that because I still had the insecurities, but I had a layer of confidence that was genuine on top of that, if that makes sense. Like I was completely in denial and just like, this is me, this is who I am. But underneath it, I did feel that sting of being ugly and rejected. So this time around, I want to recapture that confidence, that sexy, beautiful confidence, because I don't think I'll ever find like a bigger body attractive. I don't think I'll find it unattractive. I think it'll be just as like my C-section scars or whatever other surgery scars I have. They're just a part of me. They're not ugly. They're not pretty. They're just part of who I am. But I can exude the energy of beauty by having confidence in being who I am, just as I am. So that's my goal. That's how I am redefining beauty, is by being confident in who I am as I am. Now I got to backtrack a little bit because I want to talk how I'm inner working, how I've got to that place a little bit. Part of it was that, in this intuitive eating journey, there's a lot of different things to it. And one of the things I mentioned before was mindful eating, paying attention to the food so I can savor it and not like have missed out on it and try to feed again to get that satisfaction of the food parts, the eating, the tasting. And while I still want to do that, mindful eating, like trying to be aware of my fullness cues and my hunger cues, that's a little bit more challenging because I don't have any. And so I felt like I was in a place of restriction and rules again by trying to be mindful. So I'm just like, fuck that. I don't want to have rules. Another rule I placed on myself was, okay, I've eaten enough licorice this week. I'll wait to get some more for when we have movie night next week with my kids. Well, I would think about movie night and think about that licorice and think about it. Finally came and I would eat all of the licorice in one bite. Not quite, but close enough. So I realize if I have it on hand and I don't like have that buildup of that restriction, then I don't go overboard. I just need to have all these things around me right now because that's where I am. And last week I mentioned that I'm eating to fill the hunger in my heart. And while I believe that's true, a few minutes ago, I just said that I believe that for this particular part of my journey, I have used my twins up. I'll let them go because, Fairy Boy was the one that helped me with this part. Not wanting to, work so hard to manipulate my body in order to feel worthy of another person's love. So I've done that. I've let that go. So I'm not feeding that loneliness in my heart anymore. So I was like, well, what the fuck? Why do I still want to eat? So I Googled that information and I found something interesting. I mentioned it, but I didn't understand the extent of it. I still don't, but this is enough for me. I am going through something, part of my recovery, and the reason I eat so much is because I'm experiencing something called extreme hunger. And what that is that when you spend a lifetime, decades worth of dieting, binging, restricting, fucking your shit up, not paying attention to your natural cues, the natural cues are, your hunger and your fullness shit. And that is determined by a hormone called gremlin. I don't know. But anyway, it's a real thing. It's a hormone that activates hunger and fullness cues. When you abuse your body in such a way that you are so out of balance that you can't recognize this, your body creates an abundance of this gremlin hormone, and that keeps you hungry. So I have been fucking this shit up for decades. It's going to take me a long time to recalibrate my balance. And another way, so, that's like a sciencey part of it. That's why I'm fucking eating when I'm not hungry, is because I have this extreme other kind of hunger. It's weird. I just want to eat all the time. And I don't even know what to eat. It's very frustrating because if you crave something and you eat it, remember I talked about like the licorice, how good it feels as like, feel good drugs in my veins. Well, when you don't have anything you crave and you still want to eat, there's little satisfaction to it. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I'm just letting it ride. Maybe this is the next phase of me learning, like, I don't even want that anymore. Maybe. Anyway, I'm definitely on track with it. And another thing, like this whole pendulum thing, restrict, binge, restrict, binge, restrict, binge. Well, I'm done restricting. So I'm way over here in binge. And since I'm not restricting, I'm kind of going like to normal, then binge, then normal, then binge. And eventually, because I'm not restricting, I won't have to come way over to binge. So I feel like my pendulum isn't going like this so much as like this. So it's going to balance out here. I don't know if that's true, but everything seems to come through in a pendulum way. And I even mean like on a global scale, how humanity goes from like the dark ages to the enlightenment or whatever. We go back and forth from extremes. Here I am in this current one. And another thing about one of the ways in which I have been able to just be free, have food freedom, is because at first I worried about gaining weight, but I have passed the threshold of like and sorry if I don't mean to be insensitive when I use the word fat. It's just going to be a descriptor to me. But I crossed the threshold of my maximum fat. I don't know when. I just, I've gone up a couple sizes in clothes. I can still squeeze into the smaller ones, but since I just live in pajamas, I prefer to have the bigger ones. But because of that, crossing that threshold, I no longer worry. It's like once I got past it, it doesn't matter if I go like 1 pound over or 30 pounds over. It's all the same to me. So I don't worry anymore. Eating is just so freeing. There's no worry of the weight gain because I know that once I balance out, if I've gained a lot more weight than whatever, I know there's no plan, but more weight than anticipated, desired, whatever, the only thing that will happen because of that is it'll take me a little bit longer to find my set weight. So there's such a huge freedom in that because I know once I finish this recovery process, no matter how much I eat, I will reset to the weight I'm meant to be at. And that gives you so much freedom. Restricting is bullshit. It was just such an obsession. So just that freedom alone is helping me have peace, even though it comes with a price. Um, okay, let me see here. I did that one. Oh, yeah, and it's just okay. I kind of talked about that. I talked about that. Okay, so here's a couple of things I want to talk about, some other triggers about why I, do not love myself because of my body. I had a few things. Well, this is such a cool story. My boy Ryan, we were like hanging out. I'm his best friend, and he's got this girl online. Oh God, that he plays Roblox with. So, he's always out there confiding in me, or not always out there, but we chose that night to have a date under the stars with a pillow and a blanket and a sack of licorice, of course. And he was telling me, Mom, I feel like I'm wasting my time here. I'm just wasting my time. I got all these ideas in my head and I don't know what to do with them. And he creates these amazing stories. And let me just give you a brief synopsis of one of my favorites. I don't know what it's called, but he's got these 3 characters and 3 stones and 3 colors. And these stones he calls demon stones. And what they are is like he created this in, when you have a lump of coal and you like make it really hot, it shrinks into a diamond. Well, his thing is that you have these demons and you like got the demons really hot and they shrink into a stone, like a crystal. And one of them is red, one of them is yellow, and one of them is blue, the 3 primary colors. And each of these stones creates a portal in the same color to another world. And these portals into these other worlds, there's 3 characters, Tim, Tom, and Sam. And they are actually living the same lives, parallel lives, but in different contexts. Like one of them is in the Wild West, and one of them is in like sci-fi fantasy, and the other one is like, what is it? Like the dastardly guy. I don't know, whatever it is. He's got these 3 themes. And I'm like, my God, kid, you're like describing my life. Because, I have these 2 lives of me and Mariana, and we're different, whatever. It was so cool. He's so smart. Anyway, I told him, I go, well, I know, you have all this creative stuff going on and you don't know how to get it out. He wanted to kind of animate. He animated and he wanted to get a drawing tablet, but that didn't feel right. Wasn't sure about that. So I said, I'll get you like a journal and you can write in your stories and, illustrate them, or I can help you with a writing program on a computer, whatever you want. But in the meantime, I want you to ask your guides to provide clues for you to get you on a path on the best way to help you get these stories out of your brain. And the very next day, I had my own experience in which I did this. And they, my family, clearly, they know that on the journey I'm on. So I was telling my husband this story about how Heather, and, Ryan was in the room, Heather has been providing triggers for me, and I'm going to talk about those. One of them was, and it's not her, she's not irritating me, but here's an example. One of the things, I'm preaching about all my, food shit right now. And she says that, yes, it's a journey. I'm still dealing with my bulimia nervosa. And I'm thinking, girl, you do not puke. What the fuck are you talking about? She may have at one point. I don't know. But she doesn't now. And she goes, well, it's not just about puking. It's about like excessive fasting and excessive exercise. And I thought to myself in my brain, I'm like, gee, I wish I had a problem of excessive exercising because I'm a damn sloth. And I had been recently, in my own brain, asking my guides to help provide me with a path, a starting point, a something on how to become more active. Because right now I still feel like exercise is diet work and I don't want anything to feel like work. So I'm like, okay, guides, help me find a way to make this a pleasant experience rather than a chore. And this comment or this interaction between Heather and I, when I mentioned that excessive exercise stuff, I had like a huge drop in of memories as to why I don't like exercise. So I feel like I've been asking my guides for this information, for this clue, this nugget, and there it is, popped right into me the day after I'm talking to Ryan about this manifesting story. So as I'm telling my husband about this manifesting story, I look over at Ryan and I said, see, it works. Remember, I was telling you. So what this stuff triggered for me through Heather was that I had memories of being a young girl in gymnastics. I told you about how my mom signed me up for gymnastics and that she was sleeping with the coach. And what I don't know if I mentioned this part, but it's worth mentioning again, is that this coach, he was cordial to me, but I always got the impression that he didn't really like me. And in retrospect, I kind of feel like it wasn't me so much, but I feel like he resented. This is me making up the story, but I know who my mom is. And I feel like she manipulated him into picking me up from school and driving me to the gymnastics class. And he basically had to babysit me. And my mom manipulated me too. I was a really shitty athlete. I've never been like physically, I don't know, capable. I'm a big lump. I'm clumsy. And I was in gymnastics for a long time, years. And my mom would always tell me, you can be whatever you want. You can be an Olympic gymnast. And that sounds really like encouraging and stuff. But my mom wasn't trying to encourage me. She was trying to keep me in this gymnastics thing so that I could have somebody pick me up from school and drive me to the class so that she didn't have to make other arrangements. I'm pretty sure that was it, because I'm in this gymnastics shit for years. And the little girls that I started beginning gymnastics with went on to intermediate and then advanced, and I'm still in the little kid ones. So that was a complex right there. Plus the coach just didn't seem to really like me. The next in line was being in junior high, running the mile. The boys across the field would yell at me. The whole field can hear, all the football players, everybody out there in PE could hear this boy saying, wow, look at those knockers bounce. I was so embarrassed about that. That mortified me. Next in line, I was in high school, and this one's not so bad, but I combined both my junior and senior year into one because I was a real go-getter and had like a ton of initiative way back when. And so technically I was a senior in high school, but I still played on the junior varsity team of softball because I sucked. But I really enjoyed it. I liked being a part of a team. I liked going on the bus rides. And the cool part about being on the junior varsity team rather than the varsity team is that we got to ride to the away games with the varsity boys, whereas the varsity girls had to ride with the JV boys. And who wants a freshman when you're a senior? So that was kind of fun. But the best part was that even though I sucked, I wasn't good enough to play on the varsity team, I had fun on that JV team, and I didn't have nearly the pressure. And they created a new award just for me, the most inspirational award. And I'm very proud of that. I will choose that over any athletic abilities there are. I love being the most inspirational person, especially since it wasn't even a real award until I got there. So then in college, I had my girl Jerry. We were so fun. She's my funniest fucking friend ever. We had laughed so hard. That girl makes me cry. We would go out and party all night. This is, that whole cocaine scene. Were we doing that shit yet? Not quite yet. But we were partying with the frat boys, and she'd every Thursday night, because Thursday night was ladies' night at the bar too. So $1.50 beers. We'd get hammered. The next day she'd make me wake up. She had to go to aerobics so that she can get a credit. It was like credit, no credit for one of the classes she took. So she'd haul my ass with her. She said, come on. I'd look over at her and she'd be laughing at me. She couldn't even do her aerobics because she's too busy laughing at me doing my aerobics because I am clumsy. I am awkward. And I'm not mad at her one bit because that shit was funny. But it created a complex in me. So, there's some other stories too. Another one was my boyfriend. His name was Tony. He was the biggest fucking ass that ever lived. He was very abusive to me. He belittled me in many ways and made me feel very ashamed and humiliated. And one of the things he said to me was that I will never marry you because one day, I've mentioned this before in the mom video, I will never marry you because you're going to get fat one day and I'm not going to be married to some fat chick. Who the fuck says that to their girlfriend? And then he said, and you know what? I don't like your big boobs because girls with smaller boobs, they get more, more pleasure from nipple stimulation than girls with big boobs. So right there, he just, he insulted me twice and there's nothing I can do about either of these things without, drastic measures. I finally did take the drastic measure after trying to nurse all my kids unsuccessfully, and I whacked those fuckers off. It's the best decision I ever made. Not only did I have that guy, but my mother-in-law, she did not want my husband to marry me because I was too fat. She wouldn't come to my wedding, and her other son came to our wedding because we drove him. He lived with her. We could have drove her too, but she didn't want to go to the wedding because I was too fat. But the last laugh is on her because before I was dating her husband, my little brother used to go over and play with her son, my husband's little brother. They were the same age. And when I'd go fetch him, she'd always say stuff like, you need to find a man to take care of you and pay all your bills. Well, I sure did, her son. So take that. So I had all these reasons to make me feel bad about myself. Okay, so let me go back to another Heather trigger, which was she started doing those like face in whatever, other people. And she did the Marilyn Monroe one, and I got such a kick out of that. I go, do another one. She did a Selena one. I didn't like that. It looked weird. Then she did a Victoria's Secret model one, and I went, oh, that was such a trigger for me. It made me so mad. Not at Heather, but I felt like if I had seen my daughter do that, I would have burst into tears, because I don't want my daughter feeling like she's got to put herself in a Victoria's Secret body box, because hers isn't good enough. And at one point in my life, if I had seen that, I would have wanted to jump right on that and do it myself and put myself in that Victoria's Secret, image. But I didn't want to. And I'm not knocking Heather at all. If that's where, it's fun. I get it. But because I'm in the place I'm in, I was like, I'm not putting myself in that box. I don't need to see what I look like in that, because I'm good enough as I am. I feel like it would have been a disrespect to me and all the hard work that I've already done so far, trying to get out of that box. To put myself back in it for a 30-second thrill would have been like detrimental to me. It pissed me off. And I'm glad about that. I'm glad that it pissed me off rather than wanting to do it. Because when you use anger to benefit you and propel you, then anger is a good thing. Anger means I'm not taking that shit anymore. It doesn't, unless you're vengeful about it, then that's a different story. Okay, so let me see. I think I'm done. I mentioned that I'm going to have Michelle on the next episode, and how excited I am about that. I reviewed the last year's video, and I didn't realize, I thought that I would be so much more along my path than I am. But Volti started to talk about the cobwebs. Now, I've done all my twin work. I've let them go. Now I got cobwebs. So see how I believe I rolled those basketballs away, and they keep coming back with more and more stuff. Well, and they did, because of this body stuff. And I really don't know why I was plugged back into Michael. Why? Because the last bit of my journey has been about my body, and he really hasn't helped me with that. But I guess just an extra piece of not wanting to be somebody's second best, that family of his, really got me there. So the cobwebs. So because I'm believing I'm done with all my work, and, they told me I'm at the threshold of this gate where I get to do whatever I want, I'm really believing I was there. But, they don't view time the same as we do. So when Volti starts talking about my cobwebs I got to clean out, I'll brush it under the rug. I literally swept that under the rug, not paying attention to it, not realizing that it would be like a year's worth of anger. And that's when I had to go through all that oppressive stuff about the oppressive men in my past. And so that was a big cobweb, a big long cobweb that I completely ignored. So maybe now I really am at that cusp of something new, because the way I'm talking, doesn't it sound like it? With me saying all of this stuff I started off with. And unless there's another cobweb to sweep, I just can't figure out what other past traumas there are in which I have to deal with. I don't mean to say that I think I might be done learning through these twins, because I think that, it's a lifelong contract, at least with one of them. I don't know. I think we're going to bounce back and forth. So, but anything, I don't know, because I am supposed to, absorb this other incarnate. Do I keep working through them, but like a new version? Do I get new twins? I don't know what it is, but I do believe that the traumas of Mariana, I think I'm done with those. So maybe I really am ready for that union that I've given up, but still believe it's going to happen. Remember, I was supposed to have 2 boyfriends at once. I don't know if that was a lie, or if that was something that didn't really happen before, or that's what's coming next. Sounds fun. And then there's the whole thing where Eric said, you know what? Your energy has shifted enough to where you might skip those 2 and go straight to the man of your dreams. I don't know. It's also confusing, but I'm not even going there. I don't want to know about the man of my dreams, because, this is something. When I send those 2 other men back to their wives or their lives, whatever it is, I get to come back to mine. But if I have a love of my life, that kind of puts a wrench in the gears that I have going on here. And I'm not 100% satisfied in my relationship, but I'm fairly content right now. I'm getting along better with my man, better than I ever have, ever. We understand now that we are working through each other, so our arguments, our fights become something productive rather than just another cycling of the pattern, it's working, it's having meaning. I have more to say about all that. I want to talk about the dynamics of spirituality in my family. I don't know how many people are lucky enough to have both people and the kids all know that this life, that this human existence we're having is also a way for our spiritual selves to evolve. So when you have these two perspectives and when you grow up having them, you don't become a victim of anything. You use all of your strife as lessons. And when the other person that you're, bouncing these lessons off of get it too, it's so productive. It's great. Okay. And I had one more thing that I wanted to talk about, but I guess I'll throw it in real quick because it doesn't belong anywhere else. And that is, I just wanted to cut my dad some slack. I'm constantly talking about, the triggers that he has provided for me, but I want to give more detail about that because I don't want him to be, in an unfair light. And I've mentioned this before, the triggers he's provided, but it's been quite a while. And if you don't see every episode, you might not understand the context of it, or you may have forgotten. So let me go ahead and explain how it is my dad makes me feel like a prostitute. A long time ago, he suggested I go work. I was like 18 years old. He suggested I go work in the taxi dancer clubs, which is where men pay you to dance with them. It's very prostitute-y, but it's just dancing. What my dad didn't realize though, is that many of these girls are solicited for services beyond the dance floor. And I was like in a place of prime low self-esteem to have gone that route. Thank God I didn't. But I could have. But in my dad's eyes, I think he's thinking, well, she likes to go dancing anyway. She may as well get paid for it. He's kind of. And then another, a re-trigger like a year ago. He said, you might want to go make nice with your mom. I know you don't like her, but it would be a way to perhaps ensure that she's going to keep you or write you back into her will, because that's a nice chunk of change she's going to have. I mean, not that much, but money is money, and it would be a decent size inheritance. And he is just looking out for me and my best interest, not realizing that that would be like one of the worst detrimental things that somebody could impose on me, was to reconnect with my narcissistic mother that I've spent years healing from. So I was so mad at him for being so stupid to suggest I go and prostitute myself for money. That made me mad. And then our whole lives, he always has these great $1 million ideas. I got $1 million idea for you. But he never wants to do it. He wants somebody else to do it. But he's not interested in reaping in the benefits himself. He always wanted me to benefit from it. But because of this filter I have of him always trying to get me to do the work that he could do himself, he felt like my pimp. I know there's no such thing. I know he's just trying to provide ideas for me, but it would make me mad. And I didn't understand it until recently, that it was all these triggers. But the reality of it is that my dad is a really sweet man. He has been a great dad to me. He supported me in so many ways my whole life. And ironically, for me feeling like he's prostituting me out or suggesting that I do these prostitution things, he's the only one in my life that just throws money at me because he loves me without any expectations back. He does it because he knows I don't have a lot, and he wants me to be able to enjoy myself. Well, mostly he wants me to be able to afford weed. He wants me to never be out of weed. And he wants me to be able to go have fun, go on trips, whatever it is I want to do, hang out with my friends. So he sends me money, and that is, a gesture of love. It comes with no expectations back. So I just needed, because my mom wasn't going to do it for me. My mom was like, she would not talk about sex at all with me. There was no kind of triggers like that. It had to be a complete blank. So I needed another parental figure to make me feel invalidated in that way. And that's what he provided for me, completely, clueless as to any of this stuff. And next time I see him, I'll tell him this story, but I'm not looking for an apology because I don't really think he did anything malicious. I think he just wasn't thinking things through when he made these suggestions to me, but they did the job. Okay, I'm going to wrap up here. I may or may not come back. Hopefully this one recorded. The last one was corrupted. And so I've been sitting here for 5 hours trying to do this stuff, re-listening, trying whatever it is. So thank you again for listening, and be excited for me to talk to Spirit next week and to get some some details. Michelle said that she thinks I'm going to be in for some really great surprises, and I can't wait for that. I can use a bit of good news after a year of being angry and letting go and feeling denied. I know I chose it. I'm not a victim, but it doesn't mean I didn't feel those feelings. All right, you guys, thanks again for watching, and see you next time. And look, I'm back. I had kind of an interesting experience during the storm, and I wanted to share that with you. It really changed me. So I'm just going to, tack on another, I'm going to say 20 minutes, but who knows how long this is going to be. But first, let me correct my mistakes of the video you just watched, the portion you just watched. And it was really only one mistake. Oh, I got such a tickly hair on me. Go away. Oh, sorry. The mistake was that, remember when I started to talk about how Heather's comment about excessive exercising dropped a bunch of information into me, a bunch of memories as to why I don't like exercise? Well, I gave you like a whole list full, and then I jumped right into reasons why, more reasons as to why I feel shame for my body. They're not necessarily, they're connected, but I went off on a tangent without finishing. So yes, the story about the boyfriend and all the shit he said, and the story about my mother-in-law not, liking me because I was too fat. Those were true, but that's not the story I was trying to get at. I don't know why I threw that in there. What I was trying to get at were all of these memories of why exercise, does not appeal to me. I believe that was a starting point from which I am to start inner working, reprogramming. And so that's what I was trying to go with all of that, like manifesting story, is that, now I have a starting point, and I need to reprogram, rewire, create new neural pathways within me in order to help me accomplish what I'm setting out to do. And let me add a little bit. I'm kind of glad that mistake happened, because it allows for me to tell this part of my story. Because you know how the last video I was like talking about how I think I am done with these twins. What more can I learn? How much more inner work can I do? I feel like that shit has run its course. So I was trying to think about how I can correlate my inner work, my current inner work of wanting to find joy in movement, how I would use the twins for that. And it's like I couldn't even like make any kind of connection. Like somebody had slid like an invisible wall so that I could not make this connection. So it's like, it wasn't even like apples and oranges. It was like apples and roller skates, that they don't match. So that was like a big validation for me, feeling like I got no more past traumas to work through these twins. And what's cool about that too is that one of the things the guides have told me is that this body stuff, this learning how to intuitively eat, will show me, will be like another starting point, an example, a process I've done already in which I did it. And it will allow for me to see, okay, well, I'm going on a crazy tangent here. I'm saying this all the wrong way. What I'm trying to get at is that I no longer need the men dangled in front of me like that carrot. I have chosen to want to become more active because I want to become more active. I want to feel better in my movements. My body is sore. So my motivation is not about my losing weight. It could be about strength training and toning a little bit. But it's not about the way I look. And I'm so relieved that I don't need that carrot anymore. I don't need the fucking men anymore. So let me talk about that a little bit, because I'm really trying to decipher my feelings then. I'm so tired of my story. Aren't you done with the twin story? Aren't you just done with it? I'm done with my own shit. I'm ready to move on. So many things have happened in this short amount of time. So, oh fuck, where was I going to go with that? I don't know. So I'll get back, whatever it was, it'll come back to me. Let me go back to the storm. Let me talk about this. It was kind of a cool experience. It was fun. We were like living off the land in our homestead out in, the Texas plains. We're really on a cul-de-sac with a bunch of other houses, but we didn't see any of the other neighbors. So for all intents and purposes, we were on our own. There was no TV to watch. There was no internet to fool around with. I get, it didn't even occur to us to like I almost said plug in a radio, to put batteries in one of the old boom boxes to get a radio station. But whatever, what would they have told us, that we didn't have power? I actually was able to communicate with my dad through text. He lives up in Washington, but I couldn't communicate with Sarah, who lives like 6 miles away. So I was getting scoops from my dad. And we really did kind of have to rough it rough it. We're so spoiled. It was like camping in a giant 4,000 square foot tent. The only thing we did not have was power. We still had hot water, so I could have taken a hot bath, but I was so scared to get out of the bathtub into the freezing cold temperatures. And when I layered all those blankets on me, man, that really is insulating. But I'm a girl that pees a lot, so I had to keep getting out into the tundra to go pee-pee. Ugh. Besides the cold, though, I really enjoyed it. And I remember thinking that, we were like hunkering down. And I probably could have handled everything I did on my own. I covered all the plants because my husband was doing other stuff. But I was thinking, I always like to use my twins to use as a contrast, as a reference point. And I know a few years ago, 5 years ago, when I was so attached to Michael, my level of attachment was unhealthy. It was toxic, and that's okay. That's what it was supposed to be. I had not real expectations of him, but true desires. Come save me. Come save me. You're my hero. I must have you. I need you to save me. And there's no way I could have been disconnected from the internet, from him, for any amount of time. I was so attached. But I didn't need that. I didn't need that this time. And I'm thinking to myself, because, I've spent so much time loving them. And when you're at the end of days, you want to be with the ones that you really love. And I didn't need that with either of them. I didn't feel like I was missing out on them. And I even kind of wondered, what if I was with them? I don't know what kind of Boy Scouts they are. Would Michael go out and chop me some wood? Would Fairy Boy be able to go, scrounge for food? I don't know. We'd probably all be able to manage my big, 4,000 square foot tent. But I was very grateful to be with the family that I'm with right now, because I've said so many times how handy my husband is. He is like a jack of all trades. He's the MacGyver. He can fix anything. He can do anything. So if I'm ever in a 2-day power outage, he's the one I want to be with. He took really good care of us. We were such a true team in trying to take care of the family. And I would drive out. I would go out in the slushy roads going really, really, really slow to neighboring streets, because our neighborhood is still in development. So I found old scraps of soggy wood with nails poking out everywhere. But it's so dry in here. They did dry out, and we'd been using that for I say warmth, but it didn't really provide much warmth in our big giant 4,000 square foot tent. But it did provide some visual entertainment. So after having been isolated for 2 days and just not necessarily appreciating or not appreciating, but living in a place of, and I don't want to say survival. Oh God, no, we're here. Because it's not like we were in serious dire straits, but all of the things we did were focused around the storm, cleaning out the refrigerator and putting the meat outside on the porch where it was 20 degrees. The fridge wasn't that cold. All of these things we did were for the benefit of maintaining our lives in this storm. So of course, when the power comes back, we're thrilled. We'd never been so happy to watch a TV show. And I was like, yay, internet, I can check in on all my friends. And I'm going through the feed, and I was disgusted with it. It felt, I didn't want to have anything to do with it. There was the same fucking drama that, our collective group under the, relatively same umbrella, we have crossovers. But if you're watching this show, we're in our same umbrella. We're all, an extended soul family. I believe that. So I see the same kind of public drama on the internet that I've seen before, but now we're with another batch of players. And I'm like, unfollow, unfollow, unfollow. I didn't want to deal with that anymore. And I also noticed all the spiritual memes, they're still good. They're positive. They have meaning, but I've read them all before. I just feel like there's nothing in those kinds of things about, say law of attraction or meditation or crystals or any of the things that we want, vibration that we once found interesting and learned from. I don't feel like I have any more to learn from that. So I'm like, I don't even like Facebook anymore. And I can't believe I got to that place, because Facebook was, it felt like my job for a long time. And Also, all my friends are in there. My boyfriends are in there. Well, I don't have boyfriends anymore. And all of my friends, everybody shifted so much. So, and I'm not like sad about this, but I used to post a post and I'd get like 300 likes for it because I was so popular. And now we'll do like the same memory and one person will like it. It's the same fucking post, but at one point people went ape shit for it. And now nobody gives a fuck. And I kind of like my smaller world right now, but I never believed I'd like fall back into the background because I thought that shiny was just going to propel me to like stardom in some way. So I was like, what am I hanging on to all these people for? And another thing I did just quickly is I got a reading a long, long time ago from Justin Schmoyer, and he told me I was a collector of people. So in my brain, I interpreted that to mean I just am going to collect people, friend requests from the internet, from Facebook, and through my online friendship, they will come to see my shiny show posts, and I will collect viewers and, followers of my show. That's what I thought it was. So I just, I'd give them a quick look, and as long as they were like spiritual and not like, psychopaths, I'd go ahead and allow them into my friends list. Well, I'm up to like 3,000 friends, and I swear to God, I probably only have 30 friends. Maybe 100 extended friends or people I like, but I certainly do not need 3,000 friends. I don't know these people. So I went through and I started just like, I let go of like 600 groups I left, and I let go of so much stuff. I unliked all these pages, and I'm really trying to clean my wall up. Next is the people. I don't want 3,000 friends. I want to see people in the feed that I'm interested in seeing, not strangers that are going to post some, meme about the power of crystals or whatever. I'm done with that stuff. So I feel like such a huge shift. All of a sudden, I'm not interested in this thing. I won't say Facebook never consumed me, but it entertained me. It was my source of entertainment, because once I woke up, I quit reading books. I quit watching TV. So this was it for me. But I've noticed over the past, year, I guess since this quarantine bullshit started, I've been able to actually watch TV. I've binge watched so many Netflix shows and stuff. I had no idea. Sarah would tell me these things about this show or that show or the news, and I was like, I have no idea. Now we go out to eat, and I'm like, did you hear about this guy in the news, what he did to those? Ooh, I'm all over the place now. I'm back in the world, but I'm out of the Facebook world. Isn't that interesting? So anyway, I am so done with my story. I am ready to move on, and I'm done with my life the way it is. I'm done with the feed, and because I know it's just Facebook, but if you're into it, then you see how significant Facebook is. That same medium, Justin Schmoyer once said to me, don't ever underestimate the power of Facebook. And I get it now. It was like a real big part of my life. And it's not that I don't like Facebook. I don't like the channel it's on. I'm going to change channels. I'm going to create a custom channel as best as I can. Let's see. Heather just sent me a message. Okay, we're supposed to do a video next. Okay, let me go through this. Okay, so after I did that last section that you just watched, you remember I've told you about my exorcisms I have when I go to these big surrenders and I shed the false belief, and it's very dramatic. Lots of tears, lots of screaming. I like writhe on the floor. It looks like a fucking exorcism. Well, they're not all bad, because there are times when I'm not like shedding myself of the bullshit, but there are times when I'm letting in the new light. And these feel so good. They really feel like those heart chakra squeezes I'm always bragging about. They make me cry and drool and freeze. And there's just so much love inside of me that I feel like I'm exploding. So it's like after I did that last, video, the section before that, I remember that evening, I had such a huge moment, lots of tears. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing it. I really am crossing some kind of threshold. And I stood and looked at myself in the mirror, and I was like, I am so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And I am. I've worked so hard. And remember all that stuff I said about the confidence of being who I am, as I am, whatever, that's going to be my new beauty. Well, I do believe that, and I don't even know if I've mentioned this, but I'm going to mention it right now because it's worth saying again. If not, is that I realize, all this time I've been waiting for for me to come to love the body that I'm in. And I kept trying to love the way my body looks. I don't think that's ever going to happen because, I got scars all over my body and shit. And I don't hate them. I'm not ashamed of them, but they're not pretty. I don't want to brag about them or show them up. I don't want to feature them. I think I feel the same way about my body in general. I'm not ashamed of it, or at least I'm still working on that. But I'm not proud of it either. It just is. So the way in which I'm going to find the love is for the way my body took care of me. The way that my body, gets me where I want to be. The way my body allowed for me to grow babies. The way my body was so patient. Not that it had a choice. But I used to hurt myself, all the cutting and pulling my hair and whacking my head on the walls or the floor. I love my body because it's still here allowing me to do the things that I want to do. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It takes good care of me. So I want to take care of it. So the love I'm looking for isn't going to have much to do with the way I look, which is just like the love I attract. It's not going to have much to do with the way I look, but it's going to be my energy. And when I have gratitude and love and, all these really beautiful, positive feelings about myself, I can't help it exude that. So I'm going to attract somebody that loves me the same way I love myself. Isn't that sweet? Okay, wait. Let me see what else I got here. Okay. God, I think that's all I really needed to say. Let me think. Okay, my big storm epiphany that being isolated changed me, and I don't want to have anything to do with the shit that's already in my feet. I'm ready to move the fuck on from not the past of everything, but the past of me. I'm done. Oh, and so I was thinking, one of the things that my path is to learn how to tame my wild emotions, my out of control emotions. And I didn't know what that was, and I still don't, but maybe, just maybe it's this. I feel like, and I'm going to use Michael because, he's been around longer than Fairy Boy and I'm allowed to use his name. But I really, I am done chasing this guy. That family did affect me. And I think maybe that dream was just a way for me to meet the baby and just, his dream self came and introduced me. That's sweet. If that's all it was, that's really sweet. So even though I've let it all go and I don't want it anymore, and even though I still think it's going to happen and it's the way that I'm going to be set free from this whole thing, even though all these things are, I don't know, all that shit's going on. I have let him go, but I still care about him. Of course I do. This is a twin flame relationship. He is my most special soul on the other side. He's my closest vibration. So for me to just say I'm going to walk away and never see him again, it's just not, I don't believe it's the truth. It doesn't make sense. So in my insomnia bullshit, I love to have my fantasies, but I've been blocked. I haven't been able to. And not even the hug, not even the sweet hug. So I was like, you know what? Let me just tap into this stuff. It's gone. I've turned it off. I've shut it down. I've let it go. But there's that connection. There's always that connection. So I was like, let me tap into it for a minute. Just for a little bit, a little guilty pleasure. And I didn't really have any fantasies, any physical fantasies, but there's that whole other world of the energy connecting. So I invited, his higher self, Murgello, to come on in and love on me a little bit. And, I cried, and it was just emotion. It didn't really feel physical. It just felt like, love. So I was like, okay, that's enough. And I turned that tap off. I have like a little, it's really cute. In my imagination, it's like a, like a faucet, a spigot faucet. So it's called outside for your hose. But instead of being a circle, it's more of an infinity shape. But instead of being an infinity shape, this part right here is a heart. So I got my two hearts. That's my faucet handle. So I'm able to turn that tap off. And when I want to access it again, all I got to do is just kind of, it doesn't take long. I could sit here for 30 seconds from now. You could see me just bawling my brains out because I'm able to turn it off and turn it on. Maybe that's what that means. maybe that's all that means of taming my wild emotions. Wouldn't that be something if it was that simple, learning how to turn it off and on? I'm waiting for something to happen to me, but I just have to visually do it myself. I don't know. Okay, so, and because of this big old storm, and Michelle, Michelle McMullen Gray, she was going to come be on my show. We were going to do it like 2 weeks ago, but it crept up on us. So we both decided, okay, 1 week later, that's when the storm came. And ironically enough, all of these epiphanies and downloads and, all this stuff during isolation was on February 17th, what I consider Watermelon Day. And the whole story about watermelon and the e-board and Michael and all that stuff. If you don't remember it, well, it's a story. And so I just found it interesting that 6.5 years later on Watermelon Day, she's funny. She knows I like a good number. So the 17th was when all this was going on, or, these few days in there. So Michelle, I haven't even contacted Michelle yet. I actually had Heather contact her because I can reach Heather in California. So I did through texting. I didn't have Michelle's phone number, so I couldn't text her. Well, I don't know what's going on with her daddy. Something happened with her daddy. So we had to postpone our date, and we haven't reset up a new one. I'll contact her real soon. So I'm not able to, I don't know about all the good news and the fun stuff, but I am kind of glad that, so we were going to do that video on Watermelon Day, and I'm like, oh, well, that's why we didn't do it last week, so it can be this week. But now I've decided that the universe brought this big storm to Texas so that I can have these 2 days of isolation and mutate, decide that I'm a different person and I'm ready to move on. So I gotta rehook up that meeting with Michelle, because now what? I feel like if we did do that reading last week, it wouldn't have been the same as it will be next week, because I've gone through such a change. That's why the storm came just for me. Okay, so I guess that's all I'm gonna say right now about stuff. I don't know what else I'm missing. I'm always missing something, and I can't imagine what's going to be next. If I'm done talking and whining about these fucking boys, what's next? I actually have an idea. I want to have my girl Layla on this show. She's going to teach us about gender fluidity. She's so cool. All right. That's it. I'm wrapping up. I'm actually getting ready to do a video with Heather, our first Stardust video in quite some time. I'm looking forward to that. So let me get on that. All right, guys. Thanks for watching and playing along. See you next time. Sorry, I'm just going to throw this bit in. I just reviewed, and what I forgot to say is that when I was a collector of people, it wasn't all the people on the internet. It was collecting M6, the members of my soul family. That's one of my jobs in M6. And another thing, it's not really that I didn't forget to say it. I wasn't sure if I was going to, but I guess I did forget it, so I'm going to say it now. But you know how I've just got done saying I'm done with my story, I'm done with twins, I'm done hearing about the same old whiny bullshit over and over and over again? Wouldn't it just be like so stupid if this really was like the end of them? Wouldn't you guys as viewers watching this for 2 years or whatever feel like a sense of disappointment if these unions don't come to fruition? Wouldn't that be such a huge letdown? And based on that logic alone, that kind of makes me feel that shit's still on. I'm not really wrestling inside my brain about, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? I do constantly go back and forth. I really do think it's going to, but I really am over it. But, it's just been and you know what else though? You guys watch this show. This is what you see about me. I have more than just the twins and just my evolution that I speak about on here. But because this is what you guys see, it probably seems like I'm still totally obsessed with these two men, with these twins, but it's not an obsession. It has become, it's a big significant part of my growth and evolution. So I do really, use the experience as a reference point. But again, man, how pissed off are you guys going to be at Fairy Girl if this shit was just all a bunch of bullshit? If it really was nothing but a carrot? Ooh, she's going to have a lot to answer to, isn't she? Okay, you guys. Okay, for reals now. Heather's on her way, and we're going to go do some stardusting. I have no idea who we're going to talk to. I'm going to go meditate on that right now while I wait for her. Okay, guys. Bye.